Hello, everybody, and welcome to a live movie review here on Fandom Entertainment. I hope I don't mess up. Please help me out through this one. I'm Dan Murrell, and I'm here reviewing Toy Story 4. If we're going live with the movie review, you know it's got to be a pretty big movie. The embargo just dropped, so everybody that's been talking about and that's seen the movies can finally talk about it. Toy Story is a great animated franchise, and when anyone that watches me on any of the stuff that we've done here on Screen Junkies and Fandom over the years knows that I walked into this movie so skeptical of Toy Story 4 because the other films have been so great, number one, and number two, because the last film, Toy Story 3, which came out almost 10 years ago, put such a great end on the story of these toys, of these characters that kids and adults and people have been following for so many years. And so that skepticism is something that I brought into this movie. And to be honest, it would have had to have cleared a really high bar for me to walk out of it saying, not only was this an okay movie, but this is something that was necessary, that belonged in the franchise. Which is why I'm very happy to say that somehow, despite the fact that Toy Story 3 seemed to wrap up these character stories so well, Toy Story 4 is really good. As a matter of fact, it's not just really good, and it's not just a good but unnecessary entry into a great franchise. It is just as good as the other movies in the franchise. I was as surprised as anybody else. I'm happy. I'm happy to walk into a movie worried about a worst case scenario and being shown as the movie goes on that not only were those fears unfounded, but that this movie is going to continue to surprise me, continue to move me, continue to interest me in the same way that the other movies in this franchise have done. And it would have been so easy to just cash in on the legacy of these films and make a fun, entertaining entry, and there's nothing wrong with those, but it's so refreshing to see a sequel come out that actually is worried about servicing the characters that they've built and carves out its own spot in this franchise. When we last left the toys in Toy Story 3, they'd been given to a new owner, Bonnie, and it seemed like a happily ever after. And this isn't a sad movie or a downer, although like so many other Pixar movies, there are notes of melancholy, and it does ask questions that go beyond what it is to be a toy. But if Toy Story 3 was the story of this group of toys, then Toy Story 4 is really the story of Woody. And I think that that's very appropriate because Woody is where we really started this franchise. I mean, he was the character that was there at the beginning of the first Toy Story movie that everybody revolved around, and then you bring in Buzz Lightyear, and through all these adventures, Woody has kind of been the anchor point of the story. And so I think it was a really smart idea to take this movie and say, all of your favorites are there, Buzz and Ham and Rex. Bo Peep comes back. Whenever they bring a character back into a franchise that's been gone, you're always worried, is that going to feel forced? Is it going to feel like, we didn't quite know how to do this character, but people have been asking. They bring her back in a logical way that makes sense with the story, and in a way that speaks to the overall arc of the movie, the overall arc of Woody's character, and really pays off in a very beautiful and affecting way. So they were able to crack the story. They were able to crack how to bring back the characters that you love, the characters that you like, but they also really were able to crack new characters. There's a new toy named Forky, who's voiced by Tony Hale. And again, so many times this has gone wrong where a franchise introduces a new character and it is ruinous. It's a Cousin Oliver and the Brady Bunch situation where you're like, who is this person and why are they here? Forky's hilarious. The way that they make him into both a foil and an ally for Woody, they do it in a really interesting way. It's not just a cute character to cut to for laughs, although he certainly does provide a lot of laughs. But through Forky, who's a new toy, although they have some very fun kind of meta questions and interesting parts about, well, how is he a toy and what does it mean to bring life? What's the line there? All the questions that we've been asking, that the honest trailer for the first Toy Story movie asked, that fans have been asking. Through Forky, you're able to bring that into the movie, which gives it another little bit of extra zest. But they are able to take that character and make it into an avenue for Woody to look at his own past as a toy and his role. Things change over time. And this movie is very much about change. It's about Woody adjusting to change. It's about what it means to have your mission and your purpose in life be challenged and questioned. And I know this sounds like heavy stuff, but hey, this is Pixar. They've done this before. They've done this in so many other movies. And I think this is when they're at their best. And Toy Story 4 is definitely Pixar at its best. Not only is it an entertaining animated film, but it brings the weightiness of real questions in a way that's also entertaining. We have a new villain called Gabby Gabby. Again, this could have been a Lotso Huggin' Bear light situation where you have another toy who is brought into the situation, who is in this antique shop, and it just could have been a basic villain role, but they're able to bring Gabby Gabby into the story and dovetail it and tie it into Woody's story in a really interesting and affecting way. Gabby Gabby also has my favorite goon squad from a movie in quite some time, a group of ventriloquist dummies who I think will probably, well, they delighted me. I laughed every time these dummies literally were on the screen. I think they might terrify some kids, that's okay. Sometimes kids need to be terrified a little bit, but ultimately they're funny. I thought that they were hilarious. It's the way that they bring richness to these smaller characters that makes these Toy Story movies so much fun. There's Duke Kaboom, voiced by Keanu Reeves. What a summer Keanu Reeves is having. He is a Canadian stuntman. They have a lot of fun with him. Again, this could have been just a one-off character, and he's not what I would call a lead character, but they employ him smartly. And they use him so economically and so in a way that makes it so much, it adds flavor and zest to the story, but doesn't feel unnecessary. If it seems like I'm raving, it's because I am, because this is a really, really good movie. Key and Peele also voice a couple of plush characters from the fair. They have some of the biggest laughs in this movie. As a matter of fact, of the Toy Story films, I would call this one probably the most straightforward as far as a comedy goes. There are a lot of laughs in this movie, and most of it comes through the characters, through the new characters, and the energy that they bring to this entry in the series, which is again so hard to do a lot of times with new characters. If you do it wrong, and a lot of movies do, it feels cluttered, it feels forced, but they're able to bring in all of these new faces into a franchise that was already packed with a lot of faces that you love, and do it in a really organic and natural way. But in addition to the comedy, as always, this Toy Story franchise knows how to get genuine emotion out of you from these characters, and it seems silly. These are toys. These are plastic and plush things, and yet the screenplay, which is from Pixar veteran Andrew Stanton and Stephanie Folsom, who is making her screenwriting debut in the feature world, and Josh Cooley, who's the director of this film, also a Pixar first-timer. They really know how to bring both a new energy to the Toy Story franchise, and yet that same familiar touch and warmth and heart and emotion. This is not a status quo movie. A lot of times a sequel will come out that's about the status quo, about preserving the status quo. You start in a situation and you end in the exact same situation. That's not what Toy Story 4 is. Toy Story 4 is a movie that is concerned with moving things forward, with advancing and evolving the characters, with taking steps that are meaningful to the franchise, that are meaningful to the characters, and really making you understand why these things are happening. And at the end of the movie, really just, it's so emotional. I don't know why it's so surprising when Pixar is able to do these. I think maybe it's because sometimes they don't. Maybe it's because sometimes when you get a Pixar movie, not that they're bad movies, but a sequel like Finding Dory or Incredibles 2, which are entertaining, very entertaining, but also are kind of just another film in the same series of films as the one that came before it. Toy Story 4 has always been different. Well, this movie's different, and the franchise has always been different, and that each sequel brings a new wrinkle and a new way to grow with its audience. And that's something that I think that these movies are very cognizant of. I think they know that they have an audience that has been following these movies at this point for over 20 years, since 1995 when the first Toy Story film came out. And so they know that they're serving people like myself. I was 12 years old when the first Toy Story movie came out. The second one, I was 16. When the third one came out, I was in my mid-20s. Now, 9 years later, I'm in my 30s. And they've somehow, I think, and maybe this is why they work so well on so many different levels, they know that they have not just young kids and new fans in the audience, but they have audience members who literally have been following these movies since their childhood. And they know how to make those characters grow along with their audience in ways that kids are going to be entertained and they're going to laugh, and the emotion is there for them, I think, to understand. But they're able to so effectively track the characters along with the audience and almost kind of know where the audience that were kids when the first movie came out are in their lives, and how to tie that into a very strong and genuine spot. That I don't think it's unfair to say that Toy Story is maybe the most consistent franchise in a long time. I can't think of too many other franchises that have done 4 movies, and if they do more, they do more. My skepticism with if they're going to be able to do more of these is done. It was a very deep founded skepticism going into this movie that was completely unfounded. If they continue doing these movies, I'll continue showing up to them, and I think it really is impressive, honestly, what they've done with this movie. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. I enjoyed it from beginning to end. If you're a fan of the franchise, I think you're going to love it. If this is your first Toy Story movie, I think you're going to love it. I think you're going to laugh. I think you're going to be moved. And it is a wholehearted recommendation from me. I think this movie is going to be, it's a great combination, especially this summer where, a lot of the movies have been kind of in the middle or not so good. It's great to see a movie come out in the summer that I think is genuinely going to be a crowd pleaser across all age spectrums, that the entire family can go see, but that is also going to entertain the entire family thoroughly. So Toy Story 4, more than a worthy entry, stands shoulder to shoulder with the other films in the Toy Story franchise. It's a great movie. Go see it. Thanks for watching this movie live with me here on Fandom Entertainment. We'll be back later today with Screen Junkies Universe and all throughout the summer with more reviews of the movies coming out, along with the entertainment news as it breaks. Thanks for watching. See you next time.